Good morning, good people. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm going to catch you up on what I have been up to. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. All right. So what your girl K Do has been up to, and if you notice from the title of this video, it is foster care versus kinship care. So probably about a year ago, or this time, I'll say about June-ish. No, about this time last year, I'd already made a decision that I was going to look into doing foster care. I worked for Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services, and I just felt like there was a great need. There is a great need for foster parents. So if that's you, if you feel that on your heart, I highly encourage you to go look into what it requires to become a foster parent in your state. I talked about it with my husband because it is something that you do want to make sure that you both are on board with. If you are married or in some type of relationship, you want to talk about it with your partner. It's something to talk about with your children as well. I do believe that's highly important because they are going to be affected with these children coming in and the different issues that some of them may have. I know with the type of lifestyle that I have right now, being very, very busy and on the go, at this point in my life, I could only do emergency placement. I did not want to do like short term or long term placement, but just emergency placement, which is basically where a child may be removed. Today it is 9:59 in the morning as I'm recording this video, and I'm in my office waiting for a client to come, trying to get this in quick. But anyhow, back to what I was saying. So 9:59, let's just say the child is removed today, and they're in, for my state, DSS, Department of Social Services custody. So they may hold on to that child while someone's finding placement for them throughout the day. That'd be foster care that is trying to find placement for that child. They'll call around to different foster care workers to see who can get those kids. Because it is a weekend, preferably, they'll want somebody who can keep the kids probably to Monday, if they can't find like a long-term type situation for them. So I would be that person that could say, okay, well, I can keep them to Monday. Or it would be, I can keep them overnight, but you have to pick them up by this certain time the very next day. So that would be more like the emergency placement. And that's where I was at this point in my life. So I began the process of the paperwork, going through all of that, talking to foster care, when someone close to me ended up in a particular situation in which their kids came into care. And so at that point, due to the nature of the case and all parties involved, I was like, well, I will get the kids, because, again, we loved the kids. We were close to the person. We were very close to them, so we were like, we'll get the kids. My husband and I talked about it, and we were like, we'll get them. So when I was talking to the foster care liaison, she said, well, if I was going to do the kinship care, which the kinship care for me, it would have been fictive kin. I'm fictive kin. Fictive kin is someone who is close to, you're not blood related, but there's like a significant emotional connection or something to the parties involved. And so they're like my little grandbabies, real close to us. So I was like, we would get them. So they basically put my foster care application on hold. Don't know if that's the general process, but that's what happened because, COVID was out in these streets. I don't know if that's what delayed things. I don't know what happened, but I was told that my application and everything would be put on hold because of the possibility that I may be getting these children into my care. If they did not come into my care, then they resume the application. Long story short, that didn't happen. Like, they didn't come into my care initially. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that occurred that I'm not really going to divulge. The reality is that by this time I was real busy anyhow, and I was getting the girls, visiting with them every other weekend, and that was a whole lot already to begin with. Then I had a grandbaby born in that process. So between all of that, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even know that I want to pursue this foster care license. I did reach back out to the agency. However, nobody got back with me. So I just left it alone and continued on my little happy life, being busy as I am. Fast forward, I did end up getting one of the children in my care earlier this year in April. And that totally changed my life. Okay, when I say totally changed my life, y'all know what it is to have to be getting kids up, getting them ready, or putting kids down for bed, and doing daycare, and just being there for a little one that is dependent on you, versus having children who are older and who are more independent. So that definitely changed the game. Then you have to look at the fact that children, a lot of times that come into foster care, kinship care, whichever, they've been traumatized to some degree. So those issues, that becomes a lot of emotional, they have an emotional need that you have to meet. And so working long days in the office, and I'm a licensed professional counselor, so dealing with people's problems all day, then having to go home, and I have to jump into meeting the emotional need of this child who was like, Gigi, she calls me Gigi, let's play Barbie, Gigi, let's do this, Gigi, let's do that, and I had to give her my time. And there's so many layers to that. But anyhow, so foster care versus kinship care. Okay, so with foster care, generally, if children go into foster care, they, it's someone that the children do not know. Okay, so going into foster care, it's usually a foster care parent. Children may not know who those foster parents are, so that's already, again, traumatic experience. The kinship care part of it, again, is that it's someone that the child relative knows. It's either a relative, blood relative, or someone that is close to the child, the family. So the objective is to try to maintain some sense of normalcy. Okay, so that is kind of the benefit, I would say, of the kinship care, is because, again, the child is being placed with someone that they know, and that helps to decrease trauma, which they've already been traumatized. The other issue with foster care, and this is not a which one is better, because I mean, the best thing to me in most cases is for a child to be with their parents, unless, again, their parents are abusive or they're neglectful and things, and they need to be with someone else. So the thing with foster care is there's a lot of frequent placement changes, whereas with kinship care, again, a lot of the times that does not happen. The children are there either until the parents meet the requirements to regain custody of their children, and that's just physical custody, because it's not like they actually lost custody in most cases. But the reality is that there's less changes when the children are placed with a kinship care provider. Foster care placement, the frequent placement changes could be due to the behaviors. It could be due to a number of reasons as to why children are constantly moved. Again, like I said, if it was an emergency placement, so the children go there, then they may end up leaving there, and then they go to a short-term placement, and they're there. Then they finally find a long-term place, and then they end up in that long-term placement, and then who knows, something could happen, and then the child has to go someplace else, and that could be either on the child's, due to something the child may have done or something, or another child. Like, anything could happen that requires another placement change. So that's kind of the benefit of children being placed with in kinship care. Foster care gets clothing allowances. Kinship care does not. So that's one of the things that when I did work for Child Protective Services, we would encourage the kinship care providers to apply for their foster care license because there were more benefits available through foster care. With foster care, you get a stipend or monthly income. Kinship care, you do not. So basically, you're just saying, "Hey, I'm taking these kids, and I don't need any services." That's basically what you're saying, even though that may not actually be the truth. Um, Foster care, you're gonna get respite services, which is basically, hey, I need a break. So these kids can go to another foster care provider for maybe a weekend, or maybe they can go for like a week if that person is traveling or something like that. So they'll get that. With kinship care, no, you don't get that respite, where they're going to pay somebody else to watch these children for you. You still would have to go through, which with kinship, you can say, like, this is somebody else that I trust as a backup person for me, and they will do a background check or something like that to make sure that these people are legit, like no child abuse, neglect, any type of things of that nature where they can't be around children. But so you can have a backup, but again, there's no income or anything with that. Child care for foster care, they're going to cover that. Kinship care, they say they do. I'm just going to say this. They say that they do. But what I ran into was in applying for it, because it's like the services are there. So let me get back to that and say that. So the services are there for kinship as far as if I wanted TANF welfare, which I don't, but if I wanted that or needed that, or if I needed Medicaid or WIC or the daycare voucher, things of that nature, food stamps, you can apply for those, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get it. The only thing that I was told that I should for certain get is the daycare assistance. So I filled out the application for daycare assistance, and then I ran into some issues as far as my husband's income because he's a veteran, and they're just were slow to releasing documents because of course some things are very private. So I haven't gotten anything back with that, and I'm just speaking on my case. Maybe someone else didn't have this experience. My husband is not like pushing the issue to get it, so I just had resolved to just pay. Okay, just pay for the child care every week. So that's what I've been doing, is paying for child care. The reality is that a lot of times these children that you may get, they may already come having certain services, so there's no need really to apply if they have certain benefits already. So my baby already had Medicaid, so and I believe there was already WIC in place, or so. I didn't have any of the information for WIC, which it's not a big deal. Food is never an issue at my house, so that wasn't like a major concern, and which I don't think anything, well, I'm not gonna say that because some people, their needs are different, your situations are different, but I am a person or a firm believer that every little bit helps. So hey, if you don't gotta buy milk, you ain't gotta buy eggs, you ain't gotta buy cheese, then hey, why not? Especially if it's being provided for, there's some type of assistance that will cover it. So but like I said, I wasn't getting the WIC, but the Medicaid, which to me was the main thing. As long as she has health insurance, that's all that matter. We could cover the rest. I don't like paying the daycare because them days for me ended. My baby is 13 years old. 13 years old. So it's been a minute since we had to pay some daycare fees, and I think I was paying $160 a week when he was a child, and I am paying a little less than that right now. When I say a little less, but I definitely don't miss that expense. But I'm paying it for right now. But again, everything's temporary. It's temporary. So that is really what I have been up to. I've been up to that. Okay, let me go back. Because the other thing too is, I was talking about as far as the services they may come with. So as far as having a Medicaid, so there's things you can do, like if a child needs counseling, if they need things of that nature, you can do it with their insurance. Just finding providers who accept the Medicaid. Foster care, it serves its purpose. You want to make sure that that if you decide that you want to be a foster parent, that you're doing it for the right reason. It's not a way, if you're thinking about it from a money perspective, it's, you definitely have the wrong motive. You can't get rich from it. If you know somebody who has, then but I mean, the ultimate goal, like for me, when I worked in protective services, my heart was just yearning for these young children. Oh my God, I was just hurting, just seeing all the kids, these innocent children who, um, you know, are just left to, they're innocent, and they're suffering based on their parents' choices. And if there's no relatives, and that's the sad thing, is because sometimes these things are generational. And so when there is an issue where the kids have to come into custody, and there's no relative that can do it due to them not passing background checks because they've had previous DSS cases, and or just their background doesn't permit them being considered appropriate caregivers, that's hard. And that's when children end up having to go into foster care. And I witnessed it when you're screening several people in a family, and nobody is clean enough to be able to get these children, so they go into foster care system. It's a big responsibility to do kinship care, so, but I think it's very rewarding as well. So either or, foster care versus kinship care, I don't know. I just tell you this, my husband, he has told me, like, he's like, once this is over, we will not be doing foster care. So that may be something that may happen later on in life. Lord spare my life, but probably in this season. And when I say this season, I want to say the next 5 years, that may not happen, unless the Lord says something different. But that's kind of where I've been at. I've been busy raising a little 4-year-old, adjusting my already busy schedule to that. And some things have shifted, have changed recently, but that's where I've been. And so when it came down to trying to record videos or do things like the home decor, doing, like, my house is in disarray. I had to choose what was a priority and what was more important to me. And what was more important to me was, of course, my business, what I do every day, which is counsel people, clinical mental health counseling, and to make sure that my baby was straight, and she is. And so that's what I've been up to. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd like it if you become a part of the family. I do pray and hope to be more consistent. I'm going to be recording more videos dealing with counseling soon. So I just ask you to stay connected with me. Until next time, be blessed. Take care.